Hello, good morning, friends. Today I am going to discuss about synapse. In nervous system, function of synapse or process of synapse is important. Without this function, any transmission of impulse is unable to perform. Synapse, it is a point or junction. It is a point or junction It is a point or junction of contact between two neurons is called synapse. Point or junction or union between two neurons is called synapse. Synapses are formed by a specialized axon ending which comes in contact with another neurons. A typical synapse will have a neuron that sends a signal to another neuron which receives that signal or message. जैसे मोबाइल से हम एक दूसरे को इधर से आवाज़ देते हैं, हेलो बोलते हैं, फिर उधर से आवाज़ आती है, तो दो व्यक्तियों के बीच सूचना आदान प्रदान के लिए दो मोबाइल की ज़रूरत होती है। एक मोबाइल से आवाज़ जाती है जिसे हम सेंडर बोलेंगे, और दूसरे मोबाइल जहाँ से रिप्लाई आती है उसे हम रिसीवर बोलेंगे। सेम कंडीशन इस सिनेप्स में होता है। सिनेप्स दो एक्सॉन और नर्व एंडिंग के बीच में जो न्यूरॉन्स है उसके बीच में यूनियन होता है, जंक्शन होता है, जिसे हम सिनेप्स कहते हैं। सिनेप्स का निर्माण स्पेशलाइज्ड एक्सॉन एंडिंग के द्वारा होता है, जिसमें दो न्यूरॉन के एक्सॉन एंडिंग्स जो है वो कांटेक्ट करते हैं, मिलते हैं। द न्यूरॉन that sends the signals is referred to a presynaptic neuron, while the neuron that receives the message is called a postsynaptic neuron. So these two new terms, presynaptic and postsynaptic. Sender neuron is called presynaptic neuron and receiver neuron called postsynaptic neuron. It means junction or union between presynaptic neuron and postsynaptic neuron is called synapse. Types of synapse. It is of two types, chemical synapse and electrical synapse. Chemical synapse and electrical synapse. Chemical synapse. The communication between two neurons at a synapse occurred by means of neurotransmitter. In chemical synapse, communication between two neurons at a synapse occurred by means of neurotransmitter. This is the diagram of chemical synapse, in which you see process of chemical synapse, in which open calcium ion channel, presynaptic bulb, synaptic gap. A area or portion between two neuron, that is presynaptic and postsynaptic neuron, a area or gap is called synaptic gap. Then postsynaptic plate. In presynaptic bulb, synaptic vesicles, and in postsynaptic plate or postsynaptic plate, that is open sodium ion channel. So in this diagram, we see chemical reaction between calcium and sodium. Calcium and sodium is two important part, and this mixing up is called neurotransmitter. The exodendritic synapse are most common. The three main parts of chemical synapse are presynaptic, synaptic cleft, and postsynaptic part. Exodendritic synapse are most common in chemical synapse. In chemical synapse, there are three parts: presynaptic part, postsynaptic part, and synaptic cleft. So synaptic cleft is a space between the presynaptic part and postsynaptic part. Neurotransmitters are chemicals released by one neuron which may excite another neuron. In diagram, you see calcium ion and sodium ion. So neurotransmitter are chemicals released by one neuron which may excite another neuron, thereby continuing the relay of impulse from one cell to another cell. In electrical impulse, there is no release of chemical. Instead of two neurons communicate through the ionic channel. You see this in diagram. Gap junction channel and presynaptic terminal and postsynaptic terminal. These two terminals maintain the function of transfer of nerve impulse through electrical impulse. On the basis of a structure, synapse can be exodendritic, exosomic, exonic. Three types. Exodendritic. In exodendritic, you see axon and dendrite. Axon and dendrite. A releasing part and a receiver part. So in this diagram, you see synaptic bulb or axon terminal, synaptic vesicles, neurotransmitter molecules, that is chemical, synaptic cleft, area or gap between axon and dendrite, postsynaptic membrane, receiver site or receptor site, neurotransmitter binding. Exosomatic. Exosomatic, you see further types of synapses. Synapses with another neuron, neuromuscular junction, neuroglandular synapse. Synapses with another neuron has one neuron to other neuron, neuron 1 and neuron 2. Neuromuscular junction, neuron and skeletal muscles fiber, nomenclature neuromuscular, nerve and muscles fiber, neuroglandular synapses, neuron and gland cells. Exoexonic has in this diagram synapse or union between exodendritic synapse, axon and dendrite. In this diagram, you also see presynaptic neuron and postsynaptic neuron. In this way, we see the synapse types and process. If any person has hearing problem or delayed hearing, क्लास में अगर कोई टीचर आवाज़ देता है, कोई टॉपिक पढ़ा रहे होते हैं, बोलते हैं, तो लास्ट में या बीच में से एक स्टूडेंट फिर दोबारा उस टर्म को रिपीट करने के लिए बोलता है. मीन्स द स्टूडेंट सफर्स फ्रॉम delayed hearing. So delayed cause of delayed hearing is also abnormalities in synapse process, that is the delayed in chemical transformation or chemical synapse. So this is the field of the investigation mainly diagnosed by the electrolyte balance or presence of electrolyte, that is serum electrolyte, and audiometry test.